Yeah, sound effects included.
Hello.
Hello. We
Hello.
are live. We're unmuted, and I remember the countdown.
It's going to be a good day. Bonus.
It's like we've done this before.
Maybe. Once or twice.
Once or twice. All right.
We got all the boxes checked.
We
too.
got all of the. We did good today.
We did.
We got a lot of things.
Yesterday was a productive day. It was busy, but I
got some stuff.
I got some X's crossed off on my list. It was good. So far, this is a good week.
Yeah. You crossed something off of my list. Because Digital Dealer, when that email came through, I was like, oh, look at that. I'm not even at work and I get to check something off my list.
I was like, I can do this. Huh.
Yeah.
Where's my list of people? Dang. I had to make a new list of people. But hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Mom, hi.
Hi, Mom.
Orlando.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's not a very nice day here.
No,
it's definitely a stay inside and sew day.
Yeah, it is.
Too bad I'm not inside at home.
Or sewing.
But I'm here with all of you. So, it's still going to be a good day.
It has been a good day. We have had worse days.
We have absolutely had worse days, and we had a fun lunch. It was one of those fun lunch hours.
It was, and somebody said I was nice to them today, so I get a pin.
You get a star on the wall.
I get a star today! Yay!
Yeah, that was very entertaining all by itself. She was like, she called back to tell me thank you for being nice. I was like, look at that.
I was nice.
Everybody's like, well, of course.
It's because it's a good thing we're not on camera all the time. Sometimes the eye roll is serious. It's no joke.
It sometimes is not a joke. Yes.
Oh, well, that's not a really exciting way. We're so sorry.
Sorry. We were both. No, that's a recovering thing.
That is a recovering thing.
That's totally a recovering thing. Yeah, absolutely.
So you had family in this weekend.
Yeah. Actually still have a house full. So, and Samantha and Zach came and visited us this afternoon, which made this afternoon fun.
Yeah, that was nice.
And you missed it yesterday. PJ and Allie came in.
Oh.
So we've had little visitors all week, which is awesome. So they were all just in the area. Stopped to say hello. So
awesome.
It was really funny because PJ and Allie showed up at like 5:00, and I'm like, hi. I was like, who's showing up at 5:00? I was just getting ready to get up and lock the doors and groaned for half a second until I realized who it was. And then I was like, well, hello. So
that's a nice
treat. It was really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I had
very nice
dentist appointment yesterday.
Just
a cleaning. It was fine. We drive forever to go. It's like an hour and a half to get there. But there's
by your old house?
We drove an hour from our old house to them.
Oh.
So they I don't even remember how we found them, but super nice guy. And
hey,
he is he's a dentist and his wife is an anesthesiologist. So he always teases that he's a kept man because she makes all of the big bucks. So
I like it.
Yeah, it's a really laid back.
Really gotta remove that hook.
That hook
like
that's right there,
sticking right out the top of my head.
They
sit up a little taller.
Yeah, they're super nice. They never try to like oversell, services or anything like that. And I never leave feeling like I've been
mauled.
Yes, so it makes my anxiety.
Well, I don't.
I know. If you ever want one, they're the place to go though, because they're like the most gentle place I have ever been.
When the next time I need a dentist, I will ask
it's worth
where to go
the
because
drive.
I currently don't have a place that I like to attend.
And I definitely have anxiety about it, but I don't.
I do remember having this conversation with you, and I
know. Yes. He's like the guy that people go to fix all of the
crap that everybody else has done.
Yeah.
And we won't talk about all the crap that's gone on in my mouth. So.
But yeah, they're very, very nice and always on time. And it's just like I wouldn't want to call going to the dentist a pleasure, but the staff makes it super nice. So
well, that is one thing that I can say about the place that I last went that I won't name or won't go back to. The staff was phenomenal.
Yes.
The doctor not so much, but the staff was really great.
Yeah. His name is Dr. Urine.
I remember that. Yes.
And
I was like, oh, how unfortunate.
right. And
Kathy's like, what?
right. I know. Right. And so I always laugh every time I'm there. There's a new person. They're like, you're the wrong kind of doctor every time. And he's like, yeah, I've never heard that before.
You're the first person to tell me that joke.
Yeah.
Ha ha.
Oh, but yeah, it was
Yep.
it was a long drive, and but we survived, and no cavities, so I call that a win.
That sounds like a win. Yes, I had a great, really nice weekend. Got to see some family that was out of town that isn't staying with me, that has already left, and still seeing the family that is staying with me. We're having Chinese dinner tonight. There's no good Chinese in Arizona.
Huh.
At least not near Flagstaff.
Not near Flagstaff.
They haven't found a good Chinese place, so that's one thing that whenever she comes home, we always have to order Chinese because she really likes Chinese, but there's nothing good out there. So tonight's Chinese night. We're gonna have Chinese.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure it's really nice to catch up and
eat
some meals with her.
It is. It's really nice, and we don't get enough. Christmas is so crazy. You don't ever get the just chill time at Christmas. There's always places to go and so many things to do. And for me personally, I always overmake. So I'm like that last minute, even if I finished all the things I was going to do, I'm like, oh, I finished all of those. Let's add to it because I'm crazy. So, I'm always upstairs doing crazy last minute things. And so Christmas is hectic. It just is. And this is not hectic. So it's nice to have her home and
it sounded like you guys had a really nice weekend.
And chillax.
And when did she go home?
She's taking the red eye tomorrow night. So we'll have dinner tomorrow and then jump in the car and take her to the airport. And for some reason I was going to say the hospital.
Yes, don't take her there.
I'm not sure why that just don't say that. It's like, that's not the right word. What's the right word? Yes, aeroport. That's where I want to go. But so got to take her there tomorrow night. So I cooked the night she was home, and I'm going to cook tomorrow night, and that's about all the cooking. That's all that will be done.
Sometimes you got to eat those things that you miss about being home.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well.
So
we have
we got some goodies in front of us.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Yeah, we do have some goodies. We thought today that we would talk about Bobbins. I feel like does it feel like it comes in
waves when people have Bobbin questions.
Yeah.
So, or issue, I guess, depending upon what those
the
are.
issues. And a lot of times people think it's the Bobbin and it's not the Bobbin. But we thought we would share some Bobbin pieces for you, so we could talk a little bit about the differences.
We've got a couple different types of bobbins in front of us. We've got a couple different type of bobbin cases in front of us. We do have some prewounds that we're going to talk about in show, and then we also have some multi-needle information that we're going to talk about. So a little bit of this and a little bit of that. As always, feel free to throw some questions over there if you have one as we are going through. And let's get going.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff underneath here that we have. Mostly what we're showing here are Baby Lock and Brother Bobbin cases, but a lot of different brands have Bobbin cases that look very similar to this. There aren't a ton of different styles. We have top loading bobbins, which have a general facility that kind of look like this. And then you've got the multi-needle one over there. These are common for front loading bobbins. They'll look like this, maybe long arms, different brands of machine, multi-needles. Those are typically loaded in the front or maybe the side, like our Accomplish. They'll be a slightly different. And then you've got your basic drop in. So.
And these haven't changed much over the years.
No.
This looks a lot like it did 40 plus years ago. They haven't changed a whole lot. Yeah, so, the size of might have adjusted a little bit, but this, if you've got an older machine with that type, it's going to look very, very similar to this. So if we are talking about this type of bobbin, it's going to be that same technique that you'd be using.
Yeah. So we have actually 3 different styles of basic bobbin cases that we use on most of our top loading drop-in bobbin style machines.
Right.
Do you want to share what's different about them? The pressure.
No. So this one here is going to be the standard guy. And this is different because it has a green glob right here. And that one is going to be the glue that holds this little guy together. This one is different because it does not have that. And you'll notice other than that, they're going to look
very similar.
Very, very, very similar. Let me slide those back just a hair. So
we
you
affectionately call this one the bingo dot.
So if we ask, is that the bingo bobbin? That's the one, because it looks a lot like there is a bingo dauber that's been just dabbed right there in the middle. That's not always purple. Sometimes it's red. So it could vary in color, but the actual case itself, what it does is the same. So you either have glue on that front screw or you don't have glue on that front screw. And then this guy over here, you can tell is definitely different, and it's a completely different color, and that's signifying. And that one is your bobbin work bobbin case. And that's not one that I use a whole lot. I have put it in my machine just to play with it, but that was about the extent of the playing time that little guy has gotten for me personally. It's just not the kind of sewing that I do personally. But they will all go into the machine in the same way and function in the same way.
Yeah, the concept behind them is all the same. A lot of machines, like maybe dream machine style, so maybe 5 years ago and beyond that, a lot of them came with these. You would have had, especially the combo embroidery machines, because you had that embroidery.
There was an actual menu
of
bobbin work stitches.
And so if you're looking at your regular, like your brother and your baby lap, they still do the embroidery edit embroidery screen. So the embroidery screen portion was designed for this bobbin case. So bobbin work designs, you have zero editing ability in there, because the design has to be digitized in a certain way in order for that to actually work. So there's like no tension essentially on here. And that allows you to put some really thick decorative threads in there. So you're essentially sewing upside down.
I'm sure there's someone out there that's going, that's really great. That's cool. It's gray. What the heck is bobbin work?
Yes.
Somebody out there is thinking it. I guarantee it. Maybe you just don't want to put that in the comments. And I totally understand that, because you don't want to be that one, right? So bobbin work is basically working upside down. So the thread, and that is the decorative portion that you want, is going to be in your bobbin case itself. So you're actually going to wind the bobbin with that heavier thread that you couldn't get through the needle. So that really fun stuff that I know I'm kind of.
Ben's from Astro World.
I know. I don't know where that is.
Is that a place or a theme park?
I don't know.
Yeah. You'll have to let us know, Ben.
Yeah. Let us know.
Sounds like a fun place to go.
It does.
Can we drive there from here?
It sounds like a lot of fun.
It does.
But anyway, that is where you would use that. So when you're looking to use, and they're definitely more simplified designs. You're not going to have super detailed, crazy designs that are going to be a bobbin work design. It's going to be a simplified design that you would be using with this. But that's going to be the fun thread, not the top thread. It would be working in reverse.
Upside down.
So upside down.
Yep. So this one is also good for sewing as well. So you can do decorative stitches and things like that on the sewing side of your machine.
Absolutely. And you've done that in the one that's not up there anymore.
Stitcher's Garden.
That invisible one that we always point to now that's not there. I don't know if that was a good idea to take that down. It's been there for so long.
I can't stop referring to it.
I refer to it so very often. But yeah, in that really technique Latin block of the month quilt. So sorry, that was my foot. I'll try not to do that all the rest of this hour. but that was one of those techniques that you worked on was
Mhm.
bobbin work
Yeah.
in sewing, not in embroidery.
Yes. So this is the one that you have lots and lots of control over, and we talked about the screws on the sides here. So let's put them all next to each other so that we can see. So you can see that you've got one, right, that has that green dot, and it's the same screw. It's just got Loctite on it, and then you have the other two. So if there's no Loctite on there, then that means that you have the ability to adjust that. And there are two screws on here. I just want to point out that this one holds your pieces together, and this one here, the one that is
Got the green on
the
it.
green on it. Yep. So the flathead version versus the Phillips one, that's the one that adjusts.
That's the one you're going to want to
your
play with
attention.
if you're in need of playing
Absolutely.
power.
And I say this all the time, right? They wouldn't give you the power to do it if it wasn't okay. So it really is okay to do this. The world is not going to stop. I promise. It might if you got this one.
Yeah, don't
You'd have
don't
to work
change
really
that
hard.
one. You don't want to work that differently, but that is literally what those are for.
Mhm.
And you got a screwdriver in your kit that would allow you to actually adjust that. So that one I actually got out of the multi-needle because that one is part of this as well. So it's got that same screw in there. Our nails look so pretty today.
Aw, thank you.
But that is that same basically sized piece there.
Mhm.
And so that screwdriver came out of that. And
Yeah, it came out of there. And this screw also
would adjust the tension on the bobbin thread that is in that bobbin case.
Mhm.
So that is how that works.
Yes.
So if you have absolutely no tension on your bobbin thread,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing to look for is not necessarily, don't just jump right in and adjust that screw.
Mhm.
A lot of times what can be is that you have something stuck in the actual tension unit. So
Mhm.
a big clump of thread, fuzz, that kind of thing, right in between where those metals and those plastics come together there.
Yep.
And you can actually get stuff stuck in there.
That's pretty good.
And yes, beautiful. And if you have a wad of fuzz in there, then
Mhm.
your thread is not going to be able to move properly. And that's going to then have off tension.
Mhm.
So that is the first thing to look at before you start messing with the screw.
Yep.
And make sure that you don't have things blocking the path.
Yeah. Clean this out just like you clean out the underneath your bobbin case in the general vicinity where you're sewing.
Yep.
So that is super important. So these are all making the assumption that you're using the standard bobbins, right?
Right.
Um,
So should we talk about those?
yeah, we should. So we have some bobbins. That is a really blurry picture. So there's a lot of glare. Let's try and back out just a little bit.
There we go.
There we go. It's still got a little
Still
bit
got
there.
a lot of glare. I don't think we should turn lights out though.
There we go. If I just tip it up.
Just a little bit.
We got to get tipsy.
We talked about that earlier today.
Yes.
Fun wedding this weekend. Anyway, so this is going to be that you can see up here, it says class 15. That is going to be pretty much all of the current line machines this is the bobbin that you are using. Just because you see something that says class 15 on it though, does not mean it's going to work perfectly in your machine. There are definitely variances from a good bobbin to a bad bobbin.
Mhm.
So how do you tell a good bobbin from a bad bobbin? Buy it from us.
Yes.
That's the easiest answer from that.
Absolutely.
Buy it from a certified dealer, whether it's us or your local person. But going to, and I hate to knock it, but going to Joann's and just buying something off the shelf or buying something off the internet, you don't know what you are getting. And just because it says class 15 does not mean it's going to be the exact bobbin for your machine.
Yes. So definitely make sure that you're getting it from your dealer. That will give you the absolute best results. Anything else is going to vary. And, it depends on the plastic that it's made out of, the weight of them. They all vary slightly. This is sometimes the reason why our results when we're using prewound bobbins can vary. And that has to do with a little bit of the weight and how much tension was being applied to it when we were actually stitching. So these are,
a little bit older bobbins.
Mhm.
So
they don't say
There's-
class 15 on them.
they don't. They look almost
The
just
same.
like them. So it's very easy to get them confused. But if you are actually looking, and let's go ahead and I always do this upside down and then I dump them everywhere. Do
Yeah.
you ever do that?
Oh, yeah.
I thought for sure you were going to be like, no, what are you doing?
I play 52 bobbin pickup all the time.
Right? Or need to go that way. So this guy here on my side, this is your class 15. So you can see that is quite a bit wider
Mhm.
than the one on the inside over there.
Mhm.
That one on the inside is the older bobbin. So if you have an older machine, yes, it will absolutely look similar, but you can definitely have some issues. So what happens if you have the wrong one? This one you can see completely fills out the bobbin case, and this one is too low. So what's going to happen when you're sewing with that little guy in there? It's going to hop around
Mhm.
and you'll actually hear it
Yeah.
inside.
Chatters.
It'll chatter. It'll start talking to you.
Yep.
And you don't want to use that because it's not going to work properly. So it literally will start causing you issues with those wrong guys there. So very similar to if you are using an older Singer bobbin or those different ones. So the first thing to keep in mind is you need it to be completely a flat top. So that's one thing to look at. All right. So what Sarah's got in here is it's basically a little lift. So it's an adapter. And the idea behind that is for using a pre-wound bobbin. So something like this is the idea behind that. But what you are actually
kind of, maybe this will help with the visual. It helps if you put it on the
I was going to say,
right bobbin.
where are you at?
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is we're trying to
get things all to that correct height. So pre-wound bobbins a lot of the time are going to be smaller. They're not going to be that correct height. So what you want to do is make sure that you aren't getting that hopping going on underneath in there. You don't want that chatter. So a lot of the machines, the newer ones, will come with that adapter, and it literally has these directions. And as you can read there, it says using pre-wound bobbins.
Yes.
But as she's showing you, you can use them to adapt others as well. So it doesn't just have to be something that's a pre-wound. It could be something else. I don't know if you wanted to show that or not.
Will it go on there?
I think it will.
Yeah. So there you go.
So something that does not have an actual casing, you can still use by using that adapter as well. So that's going to give you just that little bit of lift at the bottom.
So you've got that as your choice. This is one of those things that's really hard to describe. It kind of looks like
It really is
a stopper or I don't know.
Sorry,
Upside down
guys.
mushroom.
Yeah, I think it looks like a nipple. That's the best description that I can give on that one. That's what I think it looks like.
But this is in your machine
Accessories
box.
So we talked about that when we went through the accessories, but this is how you would apply that.
Yep,
Is
it
literally putting it right in
into
that
your
case.
bobbin first, bobbin case.
And then you would apply whichever bobbin and then feed
Your
it
bobbin.
and actually thread it the same way you normally would.
Yep.
So that is how those pieces all go together and then work. So for clarification, there are different size bobbins that are available for the brother and the baby lock machines. The older ones are smaller. So when you are looking at that, you want to make sure that you have that completely flat edge. You don't want to have anything that looks like a curve there. You want to have that completely flat top and bottom to that. I want to say it's Singer that has that curve. They kind of look more like a bagel. All right. Bagels don't work in brother and baby lock machines. You need to have that nice flat edge there. So you want to make sure that you have that on your bobbins.
Yes. And these bobbins, the plastic is a little bit heavier on these. So it is designed for you to continue to wind your bobbin over and over and over again. Whereas sometimes when you purchase pre-wound bobbins, they may be plastic, they could be paper, they could have a magnetic core on it, depending on what machine you're actually purchasing it from. But you do need to be careful that you aren't using those to keep rewinding, because they're definitely not made from the same type of plastic.
Right. There's not that strength that you would normally have with bobbins that are made for winding from a spool.
Right.
Yep. So speaking of pre-wounds, so if you had asked us 2 months ago, we would have said, yeah, we don't recommend pre-wound bobbins. But we did recently come across these, and they are made, as you can see in this package here, by Dime. They come in either a 12 little zippered bag, or you can get a tube of them, and that is a package. I know it's really hard to see with the glare, I apologize, but it's a package of 36. It's the same guys that are in there. So you can see whole bunches of them. It's the exact same thing as what's in that little bag there, but you just get a whole bunch more. So I took a bag of these home and tested them, and I did pretty much the entire spring showers, which is literally right there on the wall behind us, and pretty much the entire thing on there. And the only time that I did not use that was when I was using an alternate for like black bobbin for lettering.
Yep.
So when I would normally change it anyways, that is pretty much the only time that it was not being used.
Yeah.
For the quilting stitches, for the satin stitches, all of that, this is what I was using. And I had no issues whatsoever. So the difference is this is a spun poly, not just a standard. And for whatever reason, that little bit of extra oomph that they have in there gives you some fantastic tensions on there, and it works.
Kind of gives it something to grab onto,
It
for
does.
lack of better. When you look at them, they are it's a little bit fuzzy.
It does. It has just that little fuzz. If you compare it next to like side by side of the standard weight thread, it doesn't look like your standard bobbin thread.
Right.
It literally has a different look to it. But this is more your traditional. And if you look at that,
I don't know how. Well, yeah, you can kind of see they're a little bit different looking.
you can't see the fuzz so much on that camera, but there is little bits, just little space, but it does look a little bit thicker, right there.
Yeah,
But
maybe you can see a little fuzz hanging off the edge.
The edges there. And this is a little bit shinier.
Yeah, definitely shinier
than that. So there is some difference in the actual thread itself, and definitely some difference in how it is responding when it's stitching. So if you ask us now, what do you think of pre-wound bobbins?
These are fantastic.
These are fantastic, but there's nothing else that I would put in my machine.
No.
And you guys know from watching us for the many, many different things over the last year and a half plus, that both Sarah and I sew on a luminaire. But I did use them in a few different machines here at the shop. And they were all combo machines, just for clarification. So any of the combo machines, I would swear by these. I had absolutely no issues whatsoever. And I was using the standard case, which is, for me anyways, this is what I was using. Now, what were you using? I'm guessing you were using this one.
I actually tried both.
Did you?
And
okay.
I didn't have any issues with either of them.
Okay.
And for clarification purposes, if you have a machine that is not a combo machine, we can get you
right
a bobbin case that you could work with these bobbins because they're 60 weight. So the difference between the weight of the thread is 60 versus 90 weight. You and I think it might be worth it because you certainly get more.
You do get more thread. As you can see. I'm sure you guys have all seen, you've got a little ridge of clear around when you wind them from your own spool. You don't get quite as much on the spool where these are completely full.
Right.
So they go a little bit farther.
Absolutely. They definitely go a little bit further, or a lot further, I guess. That's the truth is they do go a lot further. But you know, I think we've been very lucky that neither of us have come across one of these that didn't work the way that we wanted it to.
Right.
But I think we're both under the impression that it could happen.
Of course, it's a pre-wound bobbin.
It is a pre-wound bobbin.
And the problem with pre-wound bobbins, just for big picture, is that you could have for years and years and years never have an issue.
Right.
And then you could pick one up out of that same box and put it in, and the tensions on that one could be different than all of the other ones that you put in, because it is done by machines that are done in mass, and there's just no quality control and a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard to maintain consistency throughout that whole big picture there.
Which is really the thing that we have trouble with on pre-wound bobbins, is because they're wound so much tighter than what we can actually wind on our sewing machines. We all have machines that have thread cutters and things like that. So sometimes you cut the thread, it springs back, and then it doesn't grab it and catch it. So that sometimes can happen with, and I think part of the reason why these don't do that is because of that little bit
of fuzz keeps it where it needs to be.
Yeah, for lack of a better word, it's like stuck into the place that it needs to be, and it doesn't slip out. So I think that's part of the reason why these work so much better for us. But like I see on Facebook, on all kinds of varying groups and things like that, people, you know, they're like, I'm having this trouble and I've taken it back to my dealer, and my dealer said it's my pre-wounds, but I've been using pre-wounds forever.
Unfortunately, you never know when it's going to decide to not play nice.
Right. So, I mean, while pre-wound bobbins are not super cheap, they're definitely less expensive than a service. So, you know, my recommendation is, if you are having trouble with a pre-wound, wind yourself, at least keep a spool of bobbin thread around.
Have some on hand.
A bobbin and put that in there and see if the problem goes away. If the problem goes away, it's not your machine. For whatever reason, it's that pre-wound. So just, you know, toss that one. Try a different one. If that one's still bad, try a couple until you get one that will, because you probably will find one that will be fine again for a while. But it just is one of those things that you
got a bad one. I mean, it's kind of like needles.
Yeah. Oh God.
You can't guarantee that you're going to get 100% just because you bought the right brand in the right, the right style and the right size for your project. There's no guarantee that needle is going to be a good needle.
No.
Because unfortunately, those are also made in mass by machine that are, I mean, it can, unfortunately, you can get a bad one.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. If it's not working, throw it away.
Right.
Put a new one in.
I had some bad
We're talking
needles the other day. It was making me crazy.
You
Two
know,
different brands.
This is basically $1 a piece, the way that this is priced. So how much is your sanity worth?
Right. At least $2.
It's worth it for that I'm worth that much.
Right.
So, you know, when you're looking at it from that perspective, it's kind of like, yeah, okay. Same thing with a needle. It's not worth that stress. Throw it out and get a new one. It's not worth it. You know, you spent a lot of money on your machine. No matter what machine you have, you spent good money on it. And I guarantee it wasn't $1 that is that bobbin that or that needle that you're trying to make work.
Not unless you got a really good deal.
Yeah. So, you know, if someone just gave it to you, that's a whole nother ball of wax. But, you know, you get the gist of what we're saying. So, they can be a wonderful thing, but they can also be frustrating because you will, at some point, you're going to run into an issue.
Yeah.
Speaking of just throwing things away, when you are finished with this, throw it away. Yeah. Don't put that in the pile to be wound with that thread on the spool, because it might work for a time or two, or maybe, or it might snap immediately. And you don't know, and you've wasted all that thread, and it possibly could damage your machine. Anything is a possibility. So it's just not worth that little bit of money that you're.
No. And the packages do say.
They absolutely say right on them. One time use.
I can find the There we go. One-time use. So definitely
just throw it away when
just
you're
throw
done.
it away. Yes.
Don't even attempt.
Why is it so hard to find the camera?
I don't know. I tried giving you a view right there so
Yeah,
you could see it.
I still can't find the hole.
I tried. I did what I could. So that is our newest view on pre-wound bobbins. Is if you would like to use them, this is what we would recommend.
Mhm.
If you have an embroidery only machine versus a combo machine, we can get you into a bobbin case that would work for these particular pieces. If that is something that you're interested in, give us a call or shoot us an email individually, and we can certainly get you taken care of.
These are up on the website.
They
and
are.
You can purchase if you just type in pre-wound.
Absolutely.
You'll find them.
The bobbin cases, on the other hand, are not.
Right.
So I'm gonna just
Put that back.
put that back before I roll on the floor and out the door and all of that crazy. So that is our newest stance and opinions on pre-wounds.
Yes.
Some of them are okay, but only if they look like this.
Right. And so this one says it's a style A, which is the class 15. There's L and M. There's a couple different types.
There are.
Sometimes it's really hard to determine which one you need. These are the M ones, and these are for our long arm. So a lot of long arm machines have giant bobbins, which are I'm envious.
Right, no doubt.
Everybody.
I mean,
should have
who
a
wouldn't want to
giant
have
bobbin.
huge bobbin in their machine, right? However, unfortunately, that doesn't work so well
No,
when
that
you
doesn't
put
work.
it in a standard machine. But M is the M class for those that type of
Mhm.
machine. So again, there's many different types of bobbins. When you are working with a multi-needle,
Mhm.
you have a specific type that you need to use. It's not the same as,
It's L.
yeah, there's no
Front load.
maybe I can remember that.
Mega.
Yeah, see, medium, large.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
ML. This should be medium in
I
my
know.
head, and that's not.
It's not.
It doesn't work. But mega works, but that's not where my brain goes when I
Yeah.
see an M. So you do have to learn which one is for you and which one is for not for you, I guess.
Absolutely.
For lack of a better.
Yeah, because
So-
these are L's, which don't stand for large.
And so these are also called this specific type of pre-wound, which is for the multi-needles.
Mm-hmm.
So M for multi-needle and M for Magna Glide.
Right.
But it's not that
you
size.
want the L to be for the long arm.
I do-
And the M to be for the
I really do, because
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. But unfortunately, that's not the way this works.
no.
So these are the L size, and these are specifically called Magna Glides, because this little centerpiece is a magnet. So when
Mhm.
you put it in your bobbin case there, it snaps into place and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't fall out, which is really nice.
It really is
How many
nice.
have you chased across the floor?
A lot.
A
'Cause
whole
you
lot
know
of-
I owned a machine that was front loading like this for a very, very long
Uh-huh.
time.
Yeah. Tony always makes fun of me. You know, that meatball that rolled off the table and out the door. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I used to joke around with people. I'm like, these are really great, because then it won't be like that meatball. And Tony looked at me and he was like, the meatball?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that rolled off the table and
Mm-hmm.
onto the floor and then out the door.
door.
And he's like, what in God's name are you talking about? And I was like, and then my poor meatball. And he was like, uh-huh. He just shook his head and walked away. And then out of the blue, he'd just walk up to me. He'd be like, meatball.
Now we're gonna have to call him Meatball.
So anyway, that magnet is a really, really nice feature. So those are called Magna Glide bobbins. And we hear that those are becoming hard to get in this lovely world that we're currently living in.
Yeah, all those people need to start turning in their cores.
Yes, I have some cores, but I don't have enough cores to do anybody any good. But those are available in boxes instead of tubes or whatnot.
But this one, yeah, will not go in this.
It does not.
And it's not designed for that.
No, it
is
not.
Even if you use this,
nope,
it's still not going to work with that. You shouldn't put a metal type bobbin in your
combo
plastic style
machine. So there is one that is this size. Not that size.
Yeah,
there is one that is this size. Wow, we are really tight.
We are.
Can we make
Sorry.
that loop?
Yeah, as soon as you pan out, we get really, really glary.
So this size is the correct size. But if you get that in the metal, that you can put a metal bobbin in here.
Yes.
So if you are doing lace or something that you're needing to match, like patches or something that you're needing to match your thread for on a multi-needle, you of course need to wind your bobbin. So that would be a metal.
But it's not a metal 15.
But it's not this.
L.
It looks a lot like this.
Yes.
But it's not. And they are not interchangeable.
No.
Just for clarification.
Yes.
We see a lot of people try that. People will bring them in. It's not working right. We open it up and we're like, wonder why.
Yeah.
So these are not interchangeable.
No.
That just froze.
So yeah, don't do that. Don't put metal bobbins in your brother or baby lock machine that has a bobbin case like this.
Yeah,
unless
no top load metal.
It's an old style machine and it was originally designed for that. We do have some bobbin cases that look very similar to this. Like the Baby Lock Accomplished Jane, that one. They take,
but those are not top loading bobbins.
They are not. No, they are not.
So, hopefully you remember when you got your machine when it was new, whatever bobbins came with it, those would be the right ones.
The right ones.
So you don't want to change just because, I couldn't find the right one. So we can get you the right one. I guarantee we can get you the right ones. So don't put the wrong ones in there. You won't get the stitch quality that you are used to if you put the wrong bobbin in your machine.
Right. And so like I do hear people say, oh, I think that, if I put a metal bobbin in, I'm going to get a better stitch.
That is not if it's not what is intended for your machine. That is not a true statement.
Not a true statement. Yes.
One more time, this little guy right here is a very tiny flat head screwdriver, and you can use that to adjust on your multi-needles, or if you are using a adjustable case, that would be the tool that you can, and that should be in your tools. We covered those accessories the other day, a couple weeks ago. So those are the miscellaneous tools that are available for all of this lovely stuff that we're talking about.
So using the correct bobbin style.
The bobbin style,
is
and then
super important.
The appropriate bobbin case. So if you have bobbin cases, so I took these from the Luminaire, and you got that from Tony.
I did.
But these are not interchangeable with every machine.
No.
So there with a lot of machines, yes, but they are not 100% interchangeable. So
you can put it in, but you might not get the right result.
Right.
So they will fit into the machine, but the felt pads at the tops, they are different.
You're going to have some variance between those. So that was again from here. So those are all going to be the same. But what I guess my point is just if you run out of, if you put a hole in it because your needle went right through something and you need to replace that, you can't go down to the basement and dig out the bobbin case from something else and assume that it's going to work properly, because they are not all the same.
Right.
So,
But speaking of putting a hole in my bobbin case,
yeah. How
It
do you fix
happens.
that?
So we like if you broke a needle and
Who would do such a
right,
thing?
because that never happens, right? You break your needle and you change your needle and you clean everything out, and then all of a sudden you're sewing and it like sounds like your bobbin case is just like it's just rattling.
It's
Just
terrible.
it's terrible. It's making a stitch. It's not sewing well. I'm sure no one has ever experienced that. It's only us, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
But sometimes if you take that bobbin case back out and you start feeling around on the outside edge
Like
here,
literally run your finger along it.
you're gonna find usually the
A
hole.
rough spot. You'll
Yes.
feel where
Where you'll
the
see
plastic
it.
has been pierced, and you can feel the rough spot of. I think that one we actually fixed.
Yeah, but they can still see the hole on the back.
So there's that lighter spot. That is where there was a needle hole.
Right there. Yeah, we did it. We totally. There's got to be a way of getting that. I know it's tiny, but there, kind of. Yeah, kind of there.
Right there.
Like,
That
oh, boom.
little speck right there. That little guy.
That's
That's not supposed to be there.
the bottom of the hole.
That is the bottom of the hole.
So Tony he kind of took his screwdriver and went across it like this and then filed this piece down a little bit in order to make that work because the thread is going to come off. It kind of comes off of this here and goes across there. So if it's catching on,
It makes a big nest.
it does.
If it can't smoothly go
And it-
from one side to the other. So
Mhm.
if you have shredded plastic sticking up in there,
it's a problem.
it's not going to work properly.
Mm-mm.
So if you have a needle puncture or even just a huge gouge,
Mhm.
you're going to have some issues. And so they don't necessarily have to be replaced. They can be filed down or repaired to some extent. But there's a point where we're just gonna be like, yeah, we just need to replace that little guy.
Yes.
And in the big picture, so again, we're talking this one in particular is the luminaire piece. If I needed to replace this, I'm looking at about 35. I know everything's going up, so maybe coming
Under
up to
40.
maybe up to 40, but $35 to $40 to replace this. Comparative to shredding over and over,
Mhm.
I'm worth that. Are you worth that?
Definitely.
Absolutely. So if you are like, why I know I broke something, but I didn't see anything, take your case out and actually look at it.
Mhm.
And
You'd be surprised.
you'd be surprised how many spots you'll find.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty careful about finding the
Yeah.
pieces and parts, but it happens. It just sometimes the thread breaks. You turn around, you move. It grabs on the spool. It happens.
It absolutely does.
And,
And it's an unfortunate part of embroidery is that sometimes things don't line up with quite the like you want them to.
regular
in
sewing as well.
regular sewing,
I've,
yeah,
I've certainly
absolutely.
broken my fair share of needles doing regular sewing projects. It certainly happens, but
Absolutely.
you don't have this problem before you broke your needle.
Nope.
So it is a safe assumption that something might have happened when
Something
you did
happened there.
break your needle. So taking that out, these are just little things that you can do.
Little things that can keep you moving forward. So not that we don't love to see you all, but so you don't have to go into your shop and say, okay, help me.
Right.
fix whatever this happens to be. There are little things that you can look at home and adjust and make work for you so that you can keep stitching because we only find these things at 9 o'clock at night or
They don't break when you're not using them.
that is a true statement. Imagine that.
They don't, and it's never at the last stitch.
No, it's
I mean, sometimes you win the chicken bobbin race or the chicken thread race. But
yeah, I've done that. It's a really great feeling, but
if that is
it's-
going to happen, it doesn't usually happen on the last stitch.
that doesn't work out for you very well.
No,
Mm-mm.
but we're all, it always happens when I'm on a deadline.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
It's never when you're just there for fun, and
Yeah,
it's not a big deal if you
and
have
I've
to
got
stop
just time.
time up. Yeah, well, I don't know what that is, but true statement. So Connie says she's just received hers and she can't wait to try the new dime bobbins. I am tickled pink with them because you know, I mean, I don't have a problem winding my own bobbins because I certainly have, you know, numerous 20-minute thread colors that I'm sitting there waiting for the machine to tell me to change thread. So, you know, there's lots of time to wind your own bobbins.
But I have like bobbing anger management issues.
But if I don't have to, why? I could be doing something else.
Yeah.
I could be trimming fabric or trimming the blocks that I have already done down and sewing them together or something else in that 10 or 20 minutes. So
I hate running out of bobbin. Like I don't mind running out of bobbin thread.
Like running out of a wound
but I
bobbin.
hate when I don't have any more wound bobbins. I'm like the Hulk. I'm like so angry.
Hulk smash! Sarah smash!
Like how did I let myself run out of bobbins? I have to stop what I'm doing.
Do you turn green too?
Maybe.
I'd like to see that. Could you video it next time that happens? Yeah. We could show it live. While we're live, we could show the video.
I'll be using my last jar.
Oh, very fun. So, I know it's crazy that we could talk for an hour about bobbins, but there really is, you know, a little bit to take care of the different bobbin cases, making sure that you're using the right one, how to adjust that. If you are getting absolutely no tension, it might be as simple as your thread just slipped out here and you just need to rethread it. That's step number one. So if that's not it, then check and make sure that you don't have any thread in the area in the front. And then if that's not it, you know, adjust that screw.
And you know, our bobbins are underneath that little gray piece on our machine, so sometimes it's really hard to tell where you're putting the thread. But when your bobbin case is sitting like this in your thing, when you slide it underneath there, let's just this is not the right bobbin, but we're going to put it in there anyways. So what happens is we are actually sliding the thread underneath this little guy right here, and then it kind of pops in and it gives you tension on there.
You can feel that.
So if it doesn't get in to that little groove in the bobbin case, it's not in your tension, even though you might have slid it underneath that bobbin, that little gray bobbin gate. If it doesn't actually go,
if it doesn't get into the metal part underneath that gray plastic part, it's not going to work properly.
Yeah. And we kind of all do our own, like here, you know, we might give you 4 different versions of a trick to do that. You know, I slide it in and then I pull so I can feel that it's seated in there. You put your finger on your bobbin and kind of make sure.
Also pull, but I usually have my finger on it just to give it a little extra. Yep. I don't know who told me that at some point, and it just stuck.
Yeah, you just kind of get into a habit. Once you have that habit, it makes it you're less likely to not get it into that little piece.
Yep.
But like when you're new to it, I see people they put it in and they don't do anything at all, and it's just
sitting there.
Yeah,
like,
that's
not gonna work.
It hasn't been tugged.
That's not gonna work.
They're gonna take that first couple of stitches and then be done. So Jane asked a really good question.
It is a great question. So do you use an external bobbin winder? So
does my other machine count?
So all of the machines that I personally own have a bobbin winder on them. So if I am winding a bobbin, I wind it on the machine I'm going to use it on whenever possible. So if you absolutely don't have that, so maybe you have a multi-needle and there is no bobbin winder on that, you have to have something else, whether it be another sewing machine or an external bobbin winder. So it really is going to depend upon your situation. For me personally, I do not. I use the machines that I have available to me in my sewing room. So I don't know that I've ever actually had to jump machines. I've always, you know, wound enough to start with whatever the project is on that machine. I just personally feel that I get the best stitch wound on the machine that it's set for that tension. So I have a Persona at home, and it actually has
You have a bobbin winder.
bobbin winder right on that. So even these, it's set up like a multi-needle, but it's not. It actually has a bobbin winder on it. I do a lot of lace on that. So I usually run a slew of bobbins for whatever it is that I'm going to be doing on that. So I just have them ready. But I don't usually end up needing to run them on my sewing machine. I certainly could, and I would if I ran out in the middle of my project. But I haven't actually run into that yet.
Yeah. So I think maybe the pro of a external bobbin winder, they do run slightly faster, and sometimes they will fill your bobbin.
You'll get a little bit fuller bobbin.
And not all bobbin winders are multi-bobbin.
Right. You can't necessarily put just any bobbin on any bobbin winder.
But some bobbin winders, you do have the option of doing different styles of bobbin. So if you have a bunch of different styles of machines at home, there could be some advantage to that one. And some of the older style machines that don't have a separate motor for their bobbin winder, like you can't multitask.
Right.
So there could be some pros to that. And then some people, like you said, they have to do that. But lots of us, because we are at our machine already, we're using the actual bobbin winder that's on our machine. But there isn't any, there's no
not really
wrong.
There's nothing wrong with doing it by any stretch. And there are certainly different price points when it comes to an external bobbin winder. Baby Lock sells one that's extremely expensive, that's actually built for the long arms. And you know, if you were to call Tony and say, hey, I need this, he would actually recommend you go buy it somewhere else.
Yeah. You can probably get it less expensive someplace else.
Yes. So there are, you know, you don't have to spend a fortune on a bobbin winder. And even, you know, rather than spending $250 on this top of the line fantastic one, you can buy 4 of them for $40. You know, buy one for $40, and then when it stops working, go buy another one for $40. And then when that one stops working and you're still ahead of the game, kind of thing is what I heard Tony say many, many times. Because, you know, they can be very, very expensive.
I am funny about when I wind my bobbins though, because like it doesn't always stack the way I want it.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm doing a lesson on a machine, I try really hard, and I'm like, you don't have to
sit
do
on
this.
your hands.
I always tell them, I'm like, if this bothers you, you can do this with the thread and guide it.
I'm like, if it's not balanced, I'm just like, I can't handle that hourglass look thing.
Too much. I could get like 7 more stitches if I just had like a little bit
just
more.
A little bit more. If you push your finger, just a little bit. Yeah. But you got to be careful, because if you push too hard, it'll go underneath, and then you're winding underneath, and that's bad too. And of course, you don't want to teach anybody to do that. So you always have to say, just make sure you don't do this. And
of course, the advantage of that is you can say, when you do this,
then you can pull it off and show you how to fix that when you do that. And yes, but yeah, I can't handle top heavy or bottom heavy or whatever. They have to be balanced. So I'm a
yeah, and no sloppy bobbins. So that's super important if you're winding your bobbin, and
they have to look tight.
If it looks like a hot mess in there, it's
not gonna work
like
well.
A hot mess. So it should be it might not be even, but it should be smooth.
Should be smooth. It shouldn't look like a flower with petals coming out all over the place. That would be bad. Don't put that in your machine. In the bobbin, don't do that.
It shouldn't look like that embroidery design. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Don't use that. You can use that bobbin to wind a new bobbin from. But no,
don't do that.
Don't put that in your machine. It does need to be nice and smooth. And
That's
if you get that really, you probably don't have it in the tension properly. Just FYI. That's what causes that, is not enough tension. Those darn tension. And some of those tension can be hard to get. So it can be an easy spot to miss when you're threading, to not get it well in your tension disc for that. But I
feel like I'm gonna sneeze.
we're on a whole nother track. So that is what we had for you guys today. Hopefully that will help you get the right things. So make sure you're getting the right bobbins, the right bobbin case, and the right bobbin thread in your bobbins. And happy stitching.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.